I think what the pandemic taught us was like, we have given our power away. And really our power lies in us giving it, or in how we give our power. Right?
Greetings, family, greetings. I'm here in the Bronx of all places, man. I'm at the Ethereal Temple with my good brother and just had a session of Kundalini yoga. It was out of this world, bro. I kid you not. But I figured we chatted up a little bit. Why don't you introduce yourself? Let us know your name and what you're doing with yourself these days.
All right. Peace and blessings. Thank you so much for having me on this platform today, and for you all visiting this space. My name is Ether Glory. I am a sound practitioner, Kundalini yoga teacher, a Bronx native, spiritual life coach, and I do a lot of things for wellness and community oriented space and healing and sacred space. I am a director of wellness at a venue in the South Bronx here called Sankofa House. We do workshops. We do ceremonies on the equinoxes and solstices. And then here, this is a sound temple also in the South Bronx called the Ethereal Temple. We do full moon sound baths. We have Kundalini yoga here. We do series. We have gallery showings and other sacred experiences and workshops. But it's a space to promote the modalities of these tools and just healing for our people of the uptown community, because there's a lack of resources for those neighborhoods. They normally have to go to Manhattan or Brooklyn. And actually, when I used to live in Brooklyn, I used to do events, and I had analytics that showed people from the Bronx, more than 50% of my people that showed up were from the Bronx coming to Brooklyn.
Wow.
So I was just like, back then, before I even tapped into more spiritual work, I knew that the need for Bronx having safe space or just space of their own in uptown communities was necessary. So that's what this came to birth.
Yeah. So I was thinking about when I first came here and I see what you're doing with the space and all of this creativity, and you would think, like, why would someone spend all this energy creating this beautiful space, So I know I have a space too. So people probably saying the same thing about me, like, why would you, because some people just have a space and then they don't invite nobody over, like they close it off, which that, for me now, I'm just open like that because I used to be like that. So how about for you? Why are you doing this? First of all, thank you so much, bro. Thank you for what you're doing and providing this safe space and these healing modalities, because you're right, bro. Some of these things I look for, they in Midtown or down, Soho, and they're expensive, and then I didn't even like it, It's like I paid all that money, But anyway, it was a journey.
Yeah.
So what about for you? Why? What makes you express yourself this way and open the space and have all of these creativity things going on?
Oh man, that's a great question. So I lived with roommates for most of my upbringing, right? Most of my adulthood. And I've actually lived even with like cousins, and like I've always shared space. Now that I think about it, I've always shared space as a theme and thread line. And so living in Brooklyn, I had like 4 roommates. We had like a 1-bedroom apartment. A 1 floor and a lower level of a 1-bedroom apartment, of a unit, 1-unit apartment. And we had gatherings. We had a backyard, and we did like the barbecues, and we had a rooftop, and we were oriented with the neighbors. And so I've always been around creating safe space for community, and also using what I have to create what I want to see and how I want to serve, right? So actually, I used a room in that building and converted it into a photography studio to help support creative direction and like a lot of the stuff that I worked in the gallery scene. And I didn't want to like be drained out out my bank account or be in communities that like weren't really intentionally trying to serve the people I saw.
Right.
And so like I built it. And I was like, I'll take a room and turn it into a universe.
Right. That's, some similarities too with myself. Like I told you before, I just wasn't open like that. I didn't want nobody in my house. Call before you come, and I know I'm on my way out, and unless they had something for me, like a bottle or something.
Right.
Yeah, then it's like, come on, it's party.
You gotta bring an offering.
Exactly. But once I started like waking up a bit, right? Because in my opinion, being enlightened is not like a one moment flash, like a bang and a boom, like, oh, I'm enlightened. No, for me, my personal idea of it is that enlightenment comes like in different forms, and you could be enlightened now, and then I could leave, and be something else, but then I could be enlightened again about something else, about myself, about the universe, about what is it that is being offered for me. So once I started getting like a little bit of light, and I started like putting things down, like, cause I didn't know I was carrying them until I put them down. Then I was like, I'm not picking that up no more. I'm not gonna treat people like that. I'm not gonna waste, So once I got some clarity, yeah, I just started getting like these messages coming in saying like, open your home. We want you to do this and serve people in that way. And so I see that similarities here too.
It's so important to be able to create these spaces. And like I think what the pandemic taught us was like, we have given our power away. And really our power lies in us giving it or in how we give our power. Right? Because we have to like circulate our dollar. We can circulate it amongst our people. Or we can circulate it amongst the corporate world. Right. And so now this time is like, how we grow our food, where we source our food, how we gather in social settings, right? A lot of these things have been dictated by society, and we're being called to reclaim them. And we have to start creating new ways in which we normalize community conversations with one another. Like, for example, like nightlife, like we're not trying to do alcohol nightlife like that anymore, right? Like it's not like we're like saying no to it for good, but we want like things that actually promote interaction and true social connection. So it's like now we're creating spaces for that. So this is one of the byproducts of the calling of the new age. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit more about that. In the beginning of the session that we had, you mentioned about us stepping into this new beginning of a year or something like that. Could you expand a little bit on that?
Oh yeah, man. So this time right now, right? So the numerology, right? When you see the year, you add it up. Last year, it added up to 9. And this year is adding up to 1. Some would say 10, some would say 1. But it's that ending of the cycle. And so now we're being called into a time of seeing like the year of the Chinese zodiac is the fire horse, right?
Fire horse.
So it's the year of like momentum and consistency and discipline and drive. So like there's all this newness coming in. And at the same time, there is this like, we're at this like transition of the death and the rebirth. Right? Because 9 was completing the cycle. It was the end. And now the 1 is the beginning. So we're at this beautiful time of like seeing the end, not only of, a cycle of like near a decade of our lives, right? But we're also seeing the end of an entire age of like time, which like, so breaking that down, Chinese zodiac, they normally last, for an age, 2,000 to 100 and 400 years, right? So when you're born in one age, you don't see the next age, you die in that age. We're blessed to be born to see the end of one age that lasts 2,000 something years, and the beginning of another age is going to be 2,000 something years. We're in that little pocket.
Oh, wow.
So right now we're being called, that's why it's such an intense time, because the Aquarian age, like, which is like, we're setting the framework for the next 2,000 something years. So we're redefining humanity, our reverence to the earth, our connections socially, how we're integrating all this technology. And it's the age of information. So it's not only digital information, like our phones and data and the World Wide Web, but it's emotional technology, social intelligence, right? Like ancient technology. All these realms of intelligence are being not only recognized and called back into reverence, but we're being asked to share that openly with humanity. The Piscean age was gatekeeping information, right? You had to know somebody, or like mental health. You had to go to a freaking psychologist and get thousands of dollars just to get the same information that you can get online.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Now we're actually able to heal more rapidly, right, and bring more awareness. It's the age of awareness. So that's what this time's calling in for.
That's beautiful. It makes me think of the age of Aquarius.
That's it,
right? It's there's a scripture that says, "Follow the person with the water jug," and that's an astrological, message there in that book right there. That now is the time. It's Aquarius. Like we're moving into the next thing, and then you also spoke about having all of this information coming in too, and I've often like to say that, you know, we have this godlike technology in our hands, you know, but yet we're still in these ancient bodies, you know what I'm saying? And then our spiritual aspect too, you know, has to do with our ancestors. So how do we, you know, mesh all those things? And, you know, and it's like this, it's these gatherings, like we figure it out together. And yeah, sometimes it involves plant medicine too, you know, but you know, it's an interesting time, you know, to let go of things, because beginnings are about letting go and releasing those things. So what do you think about that, about letting go of things? Why should we do it? Like, you know, hey, I like these sneakers, why should I let them go? You know, you know, so what's your thoughts on that?
You know, the only thing that is constant is change. So we inevitably have to let things go. And honestly, most times than not, what we're letting go is the expectation or our expectation of the attachment, right? Sometimes it's a material possession, and then you're literally letting that one material possession go. But sometimes it's like outdated beliefs, it's environments and relationships. And in order for us to continue to expand and reach higher timelines, more opportunities, more abundance, more expansion, we have to remove and shed in order to come into the next chapter. You know, and a lot of times if we're carrying that next thing over, we're going to be doomed to repeat that cycle.
You know, I often like to tell people that, you know, if you're holding an apple, but I have this orange that tastes so sweet, for me to give it to you, you have to let go of the apple. You see, you have to release it in order to experience the newness, the sweetness of it and stuff like that. And then we're often not willing to do it, you know, maybe not ready, but, you know, we also have free will too, right? Many scriptures speak about that. We could do whatever we want. Me and you, we could go rob a bank right now if we wanted to, you know?
Wait, you know what's funny? Can I build on that real quick? So there's this concept right now that I've been it's been like presented, and I'm deeply evaluating it, and humanity and collective are too. This transition from free will to God's will. That's another thing that we're being called back to. We're being called back to source, right? And to not only the awareness, but the obedience and reverence. And we don't know in society, what does that look like on a day-to-day practical basis, me being in reverence to source, like on a casual weekend, right? But it's all about like living life in ceremony, right? Like being intentional with what we're eating, with what we're saying, right? With all the ways in which that we are coexisting with our environment, with our loved ones, with ourselves, right? And so now God's will, right? We have the ego has taught us that free will is like we control free will, or we control like God's will, right? Because we think that free will is God's will. It's not the same thing, right? Your free will is like you decide and you have choice, right? And then there's like universal law and higher realms that dictate principles that can help you make better choices. And then we will use our ego to make decisions to validate our choices. But there's universal law that everything submits to, and that kind of honors that realm of God's will, right? Like even when they speak about like the 42 laws of Ma'at and these principles that, you know, give like code and honor and justice, we're being called to like, how do we bring that back into our day-to-day ways of living our lives? So that's very fascinating too. You know,
I love that. That sounds like a deeper conversation too. You know, but I was thinking about the change of it all and allowing that thing to happen or something like that. And we often struggle with that as humans, right? You call it the ego or whatever, you know, we always want to have that control. But according to what I've learned, you know, control it's an illusion. We don't have control. We think we do. It's probably because like when you woke up this morning, you decided to wear that shirt and that necklace and wear your hair like that. So it's already starting that motion of like, oh, I have control. I'm making choices around here. But it's all an illusion. We really don't have choice, you know, whatever is meant. In fact, when we allow things better, right? Some people call it the flow, right? Remain in the flow. Because once we it's like the river. You can't control the river. You might divert it in different ways or something like that, but it's there. It's constant, and it's not. And then we're part of the whole also. So with that example of like the river or the ocean, you would think like the wave that comes. Imagine if you were a wave, you'd be like, oh, I got all this energy and I'm coming up and all of that, and then you got and then you're just part of the ocean. That's all you are. You were never the wave. You are the ocean.
Yo, that like surrender, right? But it's also like surrendering from the conditionings and the misery of the world.
Right.
Because it's like, like pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Right.
That's right.
So it's like naturally the mind will create the suffering.
Right.
Because it's like pain is a part of the human experience, and actually it's a beautiful opportunity to learn more about yourself in this world and get deeper appreciation and respect and love.
Right.
But then the suffering is when you're attaching to the pain or reverting from the pain, and not just letting it flow and be as all emotions in this world is.
I was learning about that. Anything that we are trying to avoid, you're giving it power. That's what you're doing. Yes. You think like, oh, I'm just getting rid of it. No, you just gave it some more power. It's not going anywhere now. You know what I'm saying? So if you really want it to go away, you need to face it, look at it, experience it, and just let it flow. Let it flow. That's what some ancient societies that are now, and even our ancestors too, believe that sicknesses are just energy that gets stuck. That's so you just have to unstuck it and the energy goes.
Oh my gosh. Wait, can I add on that?
Yes,
so
please.
This loops into Kundalini Yoga.
I knew this was going to be a long one. Go ahead.
You feel me? So, all right. Dis-ease, right? Dis-ease happens when you have a blockage from natural flow of energy, right? That can be chi or breath, or like proper like flow and fluid in the body. So when you have a blockage there, and that can be something in the brain, something in an organ or a muscle, then that blockage cultivates dis-ease, and that becomes a symptom, and that becomes a thing. So when you naturally have things that promote healthy functioning of the flow of chi and energy and air of the body, right? And that's oxygen in your cells, right? Even to that more microscopic level. That is how we can sustain health and optimal energy and flow. But then when we don't, then we have like the brain fog and all that stuff. You probably don't have enough oxygen in your brain. That's literally where those things are kind of like looping from. So when we care for ourselves consistently, it stays in flow. When we let a block come in, not only does it become a block, but it can become a whole symptom. Yeah,
that's beautiful. When you think about the oxygen, right? And maybe we could kind of close with that. During the session of the Kundalini Yoga, because that, I believe, is the first time I've really done a whole session like that, bro. So thank you so much again. And just the breathing, all the movement that you had me doing, and then the breathing of the air. I was high as a kite, first of all, but just the energy, the prana in my hands, I could feel it like vibrating, bro. It was on fire, man. So the oxygen is a super powerful tool. We don't get enough oxygen in us. That's why at Omziel Healing Sanctuary, we do breath work because we are breath masters. Yes. And the most powerful tool that we have is sitting right under your nose, and you don't even know it. But an oxygenized body, no disease can remain inside of an alkaline body. So with your breath work alone, if you check your pH after, you'll see that the acidity is lower.
Yes, it literally grows, like when you are able to focus on that breath, it raises the frequency, right? Because dis-ease vibrates at a lower frequency, but breath, life force, it's pure, it's of God. So when you're charging that in your body, you're not only raising your frequency, you're helping to optimally function your organs, your cells, your immune system, the hemispheres of your brain. So much regulates, recalibrates, and restores from the breath. So thank you for being a part of it as well.
Of course. I know this is going to go into a whole nother series of talks. Let's do it.
Let's get it.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, family. There you go. We're going to leave you with that little taste right there, and check you on the next time. at the Ethereal Temple here in the Bronx.
Ashe, Ashe, looking forward to seeing you soon. And I'm looking to come to Omziel.
Omziel?
That's right, Omziel, to come and participate in some breath work. Ashe.
Thank you.
I totally